Maria Montessori developed her method of education from observing children, and she came to see certain behaviors or characteristics happened at certain ages. So she developed her own planes of development. Today, we're going to talk about the first plane of development from birth to age 6. The first plane of development refers to one of the absorbent mind. And Maria Montessori saw this time as the most important plane, simply because the child is forming himself, his psyche. It is the foundation that everything else builds upon. His thoughts, his feelings, his social interactions, his time and place in the world. From 0 to 3 years old, the child is an unconscious absorbent learner. He is taking in language and culture and observing. From 3 years to 6 years, the child has now changed to a conscious absorbent learner, where the child now has memory and recall, and the child is starting to walk and move and use hands and explore the environment. Here the child is egocentric, that sense of self and learning to be independent. Language is exploding, where the child is wanting the names of everything. What is this? What is this? What is this? Are the questions, or the question that you'll hear come out of your child's mouth. Children go through sensitive periods, and during the first plane of development, one of the sensitive periods is language. First, the child will watch closely and observe the mouths of the adults talking. The child will begin to mimic the sounds, and later the child is wanting words for things. At about 1.5 years, you have that explosion of language where the child is starting to say a lot more things. During this time period, the child has a sensitivity toward order and routine. To find that comfort and security, the child needs to know when next they're going to be fed, that when they're hungry, their needs are met, or when they're tired, their needs are met. And the same thing, the child is learning about classification. So where things are placed in the order of things are very important to children at this time period. Coordination and movement is also a sensitive period at this time. You go from a child that's unable to do much movement on their own to being able to crawl and later walk and run. The child is developing coordination of those large motor skills, from crawling to walking to running, but also the refinement of the fine motor skills and preparation for writing and other tasks that are needed with the hands. As children are gaining the skills in coordination and movement, they have that desire to repeat tasks again and again. They want to see if the repeated action has the same outcome. Children are sensorial learners at this point and needing to explore their environment, see, touch, taste, hear. And so in those first couple of years of life, they are drawn to attention of things of small detail. So you may have a young toddler noticing a worm on the sidewalk or a tiny ant crawling on a petal of a flower. They notice small things and small details. Children in the first plane of development have different social interactions than they do in different planes of development. Young children will do a lot more parallel play than actually interacting in play. You don't begin to see interaction with peers until about 6 years old, or when children begin that second plane of development. So what can you do if you have a child in the first plane of development from birth to 6 years old? Set up an environment that is simple and beautiful. Talk to your child a lot. Even if you're just talking through what you're doing, talk. Create an environment which your child can explore, and they're going to do so with all their senses. So have it be a safe environment. When your child becomes a toddler, that's the time to start introducing manners and courtesies. During this time period, read to your children. Again, you're exposing them to language. Play board games. Your child is developing the mathematical mind, the spatial relations of things. So lots of board games. That sense of order and routine, well, this happens in board games too, of needing to take turns or learning to take turns. And they are still developing that sense of time, and so relying on you for those routines and order. Any opportunity that you can provide for your child to be independent at this stage is key. The goal of the child is to be independent, to be able to do things on their own at this point, that development of self. So finding ways to foster independence. If you found this information helpful, be sure to share. You can share it with friends, families, colleagues, and if you're interested on one-on-one coaching, feel free to contact me.